Hello and welcome everyone. I personally am a firm believer that we and you are exactly where you need to be right now in your life. I was watching a YouTube video the other day by Alex Hormozy. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this content creator. And he shared an analogy that often people, we always romanticize and think about the what ifs in our past. What if I took path B instead of this path A, which I took for my life right now? And concretely, an example I could perhaps share here is last week I was talking with an old high school friend of mine. We actually haven't seen each other for maybe more than 15 years now. But it was his birthday the other day, and after I greeted him on Facebook, to my surprise, he called. And it was a nice catch up. But this friend of mine, when we were both in high school, we were both dreaming and planning of becoming medical doctors. Well, I became a medical doctor, and this friend of mine, he eventually pursued a master's degree in biology, which was initially his pre-med course. And he brought it up in our catch-up. And he said, you know, sometimes I still think about what if I pursued becoming a doctor? Would I be happier? Would I be more content with where I am now? Don't get me wrong though, he says that he does enjoy the academe, he does enjoy teaching. And my reply to this friend of mine was actually, you know, it's been my lifelong dream to become a medical doctor. And now that I'm one, certainly it's a blessing, certainly it's a gift. But, and this I told him, to be honest, it's not actually as good or as wonderful as I thought it would be. I certainly did romanticize being a medical doctor when I still wasn't one. It's not as great as my younger self thought it would be. And I went on and eventually shared to this friend of mine that actually in recent years, clinical work has been more and more burning me out. And on the contrary, it is in the academe, in teaching, where I've been increasingly finding more and more solace, more and more contentment. And after he heard this, he laughed for a really long time, and he said, it seems we've got our dreams mixed up after all. And I didn't reply to this statement because personally, I don't think we did mix up our dreams. I'm a firm believer that we are where we are in right now precisely because we are meant to be here in this present moment, in this present situation. And off the bat, I have two reasons for saying so. The first is I think that when we do end up choosing a path A, for example, becoming a medical doctor. When we do end up choosing that path, and when we do end up becoming a medical doctor, again, for example's sake, we usually tend to romanticize the other paths, the other options we could have pursued instead of the current one we did pursue. We romanticize, for example, what if I just became a lawyer? What if I just became a businessman? We usually romanticize the other options we did not take. And by romanticizing these other options, what I mean is we just look at the positive sides. We just look at the pros. But we actually don't look at the hardships, the cons, the consequences, negative consequences each of these different paths would entail on their own. We don't look at those things. We just look at the positives, the pros. And a second thing, which I would comment on the matter, is that we usually don't take account for change. And we all know that, cliche as it may sound, the only thing constant in life is change. And the same is, of course, true for careers, for jobs. No career, the healthcare field included, no career is exempt from change. And so when we romanticize the careers, the other paths, the other choices we could have taken, we don't account for the fact that these very paths could have changed, and they probably have changed along the way if we pursue them. And if we did end up choosing these paths, who would say that maybe when 10 or 15 years down the line, the trajectory of that path has already considerably changed, especially with the rising trends nowadays in AI, in social media, and so forth. Which is why I think we certainly just have to live with the choices we've made in life. It's not that we have to be adamant. It's not that we have to be stubborn and stay where we are right now. Certainly not. In fact, I've had several videos in the past where I talked about how numbing and constraining most 9-to-5 jobs are. And if you feel like you are not where you want to be right now for various reasons, for various factors, I'm a firm believer that you have to consider whether this is really where you want to stay, where you want to be planted, and where you want to grow. I'm not personally a firm believer of sticking around just because of loyalty's sake, for whatever that means in this time. However, I am a firm believer of living by one's past choices. You have to own them. We have to own the choices we've made, whatever they are. We have to accept the fact that it is only us, ourselves, who made the choices. Nobody else made those choices. But you, but me. And regardless of where those choices did end up taking us, this is exactly where we have to be at the moment. This is precisely the path which was meant for us. And now that we're here, now that we're here precisely because of the choices we've made, because of the path we took, it is now up to us to decide, is this where I want to stay? Or is there some change? Are there changes which I need to do to make my life better, to make myself happier? But my take home for you is, don't dwell so much on the past. Just accept that you've made those choices. You chose this path. But there's nothing else we can do to reverse those decisions. You just have to own them. Don't dwell on them too much. Don't obsess over them. Just accept that this is where we are right now. Precisely where we need to be right now. But the future is still ours to mold. It's still up to us where we will end up going. The future is not yet, never fixed. I guess that's it for this afternoon, and I'll see you again soon in our next video. Bye-bye. Thank you.